Hello and welcome into the SorareData Football Strategy Show. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare, joined as always by Sean Newsham, PSU fans too, today to talk about everyone's favorite subject, whales. Sean, you didn't want to talk about this, did you?
I mean, I don't care. I just think you're going to get some. I don't think people are going to be interested. My guess is that we have like the lowest viewed show in like months, and that like people just are like, "Fuck whales." Sorry, you brought this upon yourself. You're getting an F-bomb drop there.
You couldn't even wait a full minute.
No, you brought it upon yourself there. But yeah, like people are going to be like, "F whales, they don't matter. I want my cards to be worth nothing." Yada yada yada, and I'm just going to be sitting here like chilling the whole show. But I think some of the discussion is solid. Hey, AJ just says or most viewed shows. Yeah, I don't think that's how it's gonna play out here. But
we got AJ to come in.
Yeah, I mean you got AJ. He heard the whale sound, so he decided to pop in. But I think that the one part that the most important part of this conversation, the most interesting part to me, is definitively what size is actually a whale, and that to me is what's interesting. So I'll be interested to see what's going on. Also, yeah, we talk about the club shop. So just want to say I'm excited about the club shop. I'm sorry, I didn't know they were going to actually do things that were like good in the club shop. I thought we were going to get some more banners for 2,000 coins, but the ability to actually get like jerseys, and tickets and stuff is cool. I don't understand why they're allowing XP. I get it, but I don't. Like, I don't think they should really impact the gameplay. I think this should be used as like a way for people to buy a T-shirt, way for people to buy merchandise, way for people to get 2 tickets to a game, stuff like that. Like, I don't think you should really be able to buy XP. But I will say, I think people will probably maybe not use the XP properly. Like, I might not even do it. Like, if you give me an option to like buy a Gank jersey or like get some XP that will help me for forever, I'll probably buy the Gank jersey. So, but like it's actually pretty good if they implement it correctly. I know it's like work in progress. I love the plug for Sorare, but I love for SorareData. I love the possibility to get SorareData memberships. I think that's really good as well. So I think that the shop looks promising. We'll see how they implement it. I have my my questions. Simo says the boost could kill the game dynamics. I don't think it's going to kill the game dynamics. It just gives whales a bigger advantage, which I don't think is necessarily needed.
So not necessarily needed.
Like, I just don't think that we should do that. But that's my opinion on it. Like, we'll see how like it works, and we'll see how the boosts go. Metal Gear just said no one wanted boosts, but Sorare. It's probably pretty accurate. I don't think I ever saw anyone out there saying I want more training lineups or I want like XP boosts on certain players. Not saying people won't utilize it, but like I definitely don't think I saw people out there being like, I want this.
So I was not going to bring this up at all, meaning your complete 180 on the club shop to match what I was saying last week. And then you even brought it up as you were on Nellis's podcast like last week. So far, so rare. Go listen to that, subscribe, all that good stuff. And you were like, yeah, Laird's going to call me out on Monday. And I wasn't going to do it. I was just going to let it slide. And I was going to let you talk about how much you love the club shop and pretend that last Monday never happened.
To be fair, like, I mean, nothing in the club shop yet I care about. I don't care about any of the stuff they have. Everything that's in the club shop is like coming. Well, the progression bar is still coming apparently. So I mean, I hold the right now to like the club shop. Like, I know I
you could always like it, Sean. It was okay. It was like, okay even before the announcement to be like, it could be cool.
It was, yeah. I don't want to go spend 2,000 coins after being on the platform for 2 years to go and buy a Sorare banner. That has no interest to me. I can't imagine too many people have interest in that, but hey, maybe they do.
I spent 500 on a hamburger icon.
Hopefully that costs you boosts in the long term.
I feel great about it.
Like that. Like, I might use my coins not efficiently, but I'm definitely not using them as inefficiently as that.
We'll see, Sean. We'll see. When I'm going to games sitting in some sort of suite because I have a hamburger icon, I'll be laughing then. Anyway, I agree on the boost thing. Nobody wants that. There, at no point was somebody like, man, I wish I could use some sort of experience points, coins to get more XP on my car. Like nobody's said that. It was, I don't know in what conversation that comes up at the office where they're like, you know what I think people want? Because nobody wants it. I mean, sure. Like if you gave me the opportunity now that I have these coins to do that, sure. But the fact that sentence in the announcement came after they were like, the gameplay is not changing at all. And it's like, that's not what clearly that's wrong.
The gameplay won't change, but like it will because people will be having more XP on each card than their thing. So I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, all right, so I'm going on vacation in a month or so with my wife. We're going to a place. I won't give away names. I don't need all the fans to like hound me, when I'm out. I'm used to being in my house where no.
That's why you don't leave the house.
But yeah, I have fans lined up probably to see me, But I'm going to a place that has a team in the MLS. It would be great to just be like, hey, I have coins. Let me buy 2 tickets for me and my wife to go to an MLS game. Like that'd be a nice thing. I'm sure like the European fans are even more into that. Like you live in like Liverpool and you're like, oh, I can build up like over the course of the year, I can build up enough coins to get 2 tickets to a Liverpool game. So like each year I'm going to use that as like a holiday to go to like the Liverpool game and stuff like that. So I think stuff like that's awesome. Or like I'm a Liverpool fan. I don't really want to spend $100 on a jersey, but I can use my coins and buy a Virgil van Dijk jersey and boom, I have a jersey. So, Alex Wilson has said Austin's a pretty cool city. I don't know if I can go to Austin. People I know in Austin, I don't know if I want to hang out with any of them.
Very questionable people down there.
Yeah, very questionable.
Yeah. So I think that you're right about that. That like the idea to like buy tickets with coins and stuff is like a really cool idea. I don't know if it's one of those cool ideas that is closer to the, hey, wouldn't it be awesome if we could just like stream all the games on the Sorare app or something like that? Like,
even like, I mean, I think
hopefully it's realistic.
I know it's a little bit more tricky for football, obviously, but like basketball, imagine you had like NBA League Pass and you could just watch it through Sorare. Like, and you could just click on your player and watch it. Like, that would be so cool. It would be something that'd be really, really great to see.
Yeah, agreed. But enough about the club shop, I think, unless you have some more to say about it.
No, I'm good. I hold the right to change my opinion again at a later date if we are like 2 years down the road and we do not have jerseys and tickets and stuff in there.
No, I think we will have jerseys and tickets, but the XP will actually have killed everything about it. Anyway.
Wow.
Sean, are you a Sorare whale?
Yes.
Okay.
Better question, Laird. Are you a Sorare whale?
No.
Okay. So let's get into that part of the topic first, because I think it's the most important part of the topic. What do you consider to be a whale on Sorare? I have a number that I'm going to give. And so this number changes, okay? This number changes from year to year.
It's just going down recently.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like in like last year, a whale probably needed to have a bigger sized gallery from a price point as it does now. So I have a number in mind that I believe is a current whale, and you can give me yours. Do you want me to write it down in chat or something, and then you won't look at it? Will you give your number and your explanation, and then I'll give mine?
No, because I'm not going to give a number.
Okay.
The way that I've always looked at it is literally just look that like it. I don't think there's a specific number because it's one of those things that like, oh, if it's 75 ETH and somebody's at 74 and you're like, no, you're just not a whale yet. You need like, I don't think it's there. It's one of those that like, I know it when I see it. And I think it's more having to do with where you're entering lineups or how many cards you're selling and all that stuff. Like, I think that there's much more to it than just like a single number. Obviously the bigger number is what matters, but, so like, I was like, we have a list. You and I have this list. No one else can have it. of like the biggest managers on the platform here. And
actually, before you give yours, if everyone in chat wants to, so AJ just said what his definition of whale is, and his definition is in contention to win a D1 on a regular basis. So if everyone in chat would want to give what their definition of what a whale is, that would be cool.
sure.
And so, anyways, so Lair, and everyone's going to be different. So I totally think that that is the case. So
I like this one from Ade, I would say. I think a
yeah.
whale is almost a mindset. Can you buy any player on the platform and not really think twice? I would actually say that in the like, oh, a rare of that player,
Yeah.
like goes on the market and you're just like, yep, I'll take that.
Yes. Yeah, but like, so I wouldn't fit that definition of whale. So Jacob just said a 50 ETH gallery. Raul said for him, a whale is what is controlling the market. So like one of the high ends that like a Roxy that just goes and pops everything in. Jamie said a 50 ETH as well. Vitali said a whale equals someone spending at least 10 ETH every month on primary or secondary market. Scosmo has said entering 3+ unique divisions. And Kaio says that a whale is a big dolphin. Valid, can't argue. So, Laird, what is your definition of a whale?
I think I actually really like that like can buy any card that they like. I think that you get to a point where you like certain cards go on the market, and if you're like that's too cheap and you just go buy it, then you're definitely a whale. And I'm not saying like everyone does this, but I think that at least helps break it down a little bit, that there are just certain things that you can do in the market that just like, I think it does have to do with money. I don't think it has to do with like number of cards or like where you're necessarily entering, because I think there are like bigger galleries that aren't competing for like multiple unique division line or competitions every week. So like my guess is that the people who are actually whales consider there to be like a significantly smaller number of whales than people who have smaller galleries. Like I think people with smaller galleries are like, yeah, there are 1,000 of them. And people who have like a 400 ETH gallery are like, there are 10. And these are them.
So what is your actual definition? Let me get an actual like definition of who you think a whale is.
I think it's anyone over, let me see if I can, how big's your gallery now? Like 400?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say like this is where I was like, it's 100, but I think that there's some like near 100 that are probably like under 100 that are whales. So let's call it 80 ETH.
Okay. So we've had a few other people that have I'll even talk about if I'm a whale based on your criteria. So we're gonna go up there. So Metal Gear brings up a good point. A gallery valuation shouldn't necessarily matter if you have 200 ETH in rare and limited cards only. Are you really a whale? I agree. I do not believe that you can be a whale if you're not playing higher divisions. And higher divisions, I think, can be, I don't think it necessarily means D1. I think it could mean the super rare division or even the rare pro division. You have to have cards that move up. I'd probably say you have to be playing at least so here's the thing, right?
I don't think rare pro gets you into a whale category. If that's the highest you're playing.
But if you're running rare pro with like Gator Guy, for example, Gator Guy won a star in, Gold Guy. Sorry, got to make sure I give him credit for being a moron.
For being
he won a star rare in All-Star Rare Pro for like 5 weeks straight. Like that's pretty whaley, even if you're not going to say he's a whale. So anyways, I agree with Metal Gear comment. I think that's a valid comment. So Andy Reid says anyone who could compete for tier zeros in all rare divisions. I'm going to guess that's like on a frequent basis. That to me is definitely more fitting. Risu says playing super rare and unique with possibilities to win there. So valid. Oystein said if you don't care if your super rare goalie gets dropped. I mean, so in that situation, I don't fit into.
Yeah, you're not a whale anymore, Sean.
I'm not
Sorry.
a whale because I lose my shit whenever I lose something. Andy Black said something. We'll forget what Andy Black said. Surface says playing in 90% of lineups competitive.
Whoa.
It looks like Laird cut out there for a second.
There
we go. He's back. Mike Baston said that Wales is a pitiful country attached to the left of England. So RIP to our friends Harry Trades.
Harry Trades, my gosh.
Is Welsh. Alex brings up a great question. Should we all be aspiring to be Wales? I think this is a great question, and this we'll talk about as well because it goes into the discussion of progression, which has to be discussed. No, everyone shouldn't be necessarily aspiring to be Wales. Like everyone should look up at the whales and be like, man, I wish my gallery was that good. But you shouldn't necessarily be like, I'm going to have a gallery that size one day. But you should look at the whales and be like I look at Roxy, right? And I'm like, I wish my gallery was Roxy size. And I wish that was my gallery. Do I want to get to that point or ever think I will? No. But I would love that. So anyways, there's lots of different sizes of whales. And I'm going to keep reading through here. Gator Gald Guy's here, and he confirmed that he is in fact a moron. So I'm glad to know that.
I think this definition from Surface is exactly how I felt about it.
The whale definition is the same. The question about pornography versus art. I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. I think that's valid. I think it's valid. So AJ also agrees. He said you should be happy to play within your budget and don't spend more than you can stand to lose, which I agree with. All right, so I'm caught up a bit here on the options, and my dog is trying to get into the room right now. He's literally there. He's barging down the door. That's an interesting one. But so here's my definition of what a whale is, and I think a lot of us our minds are warped here. On the thoughts of whales. And the reason is, all right, I got to go take my dog out. Laird, you take it.
Yes.
He's got to go to the bathroom, it looks
like. I think the problem, or not the problem, but I also just wonder how many people think, what the volume of users there are at certain levels. If people in the chat could just, answer this question, how many Sorare managers do you think have galleries worth at least 100 ETH? Because it's I'm curious if people think that there are 10, if they think there are 1,000. It's one of those things that I feel we all the 100 is a nice round number, and there are people Sean is over 100. I am much below it, and the first two come in. Raul says they're over 1,000, and Germ says 25. We have some other guests, 15, 50, less than 3%. It's kind of funny that we don't really know. And I'm not sure if it makes sense whale wise to think of it instead of gallery value as opposed to just percentile. Are the top 10% of the galleries on the platform the whales? Is it the 5? So obviously the more users we get, if you just use 100 ETH is a whale, then hopefully the number of whales goes up.
So he didn't go to the bathroom. He just was acting like he did, and he is now. I think he just wanted to come and hang out. So
that's cool.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. He hasn't gotten stuck behind the green screen yet, so we'll see. So I'm reading some of the thoughts on what people are saying. So what I was getting to before I got rudely interrupted by my dog. To me, I think all of us, most likely, if you're watching this show, you have a warped reality to what the average is on Sorare, because the average is, and what we've looked at is, what is the number of people that have a below 1 ETH gallery, Laird?
What's that say? Say that again?
What is the percentage of people that have below 1 ETH gallery?
I think it's now 91%.
So 91% of people on the platform have a below 1 ETH gallery. If you have a below 1 ETH gallery and you look at Andrew Laird's gallery and you're like, man, I wish this was my gallery. This guy's such a whale. To me, I think that makes you a whale. So to me, what would make a whale would be a top 1% or top 0.5% of person on the platform, which is probably around 20 ETH. So I think if you have a 20 ETH-ish gallery right now, you are a whale. Now, granted, there's different size whales. Like someone said, dwarf sperm whale. I've never heard of that, but Laird, sounds like you're a dwarf sperm whale, right? And then there are blue whales, there's humpback whales, there's all kinds of different sized whales. But I think if you have a gallery over like 20 ETH and you're playing like some rares, rare pros, like you have 15, 20 lineups on a weekend, I think that likely makes you a whale. And then if you're talking about like what is like a bigger sized whale, you're probably talking like, yeah, if you're in the 100 to 200 ETH range, you're probably a bigger sized whale as well. And Maxime, look at that. We have Maxime popping up. What is that picture as well with Maxime? Do you see that picture, Laird?
Does he have hair?
Look at how much hair he has in that. Wow. He says a whale is dependent on the number of competitive lineups someone has in a week. So Maxime, what is the number?
But I'm not a whale because I had 0 this week.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's your general go-to, though, isn't it? It's like have 0 competitive lineups. I mean, that's kind of where you go. But Maxime says, don't mock her. I'm not. You look great with the hair. I haven't seen it before. You're looking stylish there. So for me, the thing is like if you have like 10 limited lineups, are you a whale? No, probably not. But if you're out there, if you're running 20, 25 lineups a weekend, even if they're lower level lineups and you're playing 10 limited lineups, 10 rare lineups, you have 20 out there, you're pretty whaley to 99% of the Sorare population. So I think you're a whale. But again, it's all subjective, right? Everyone has a big, like different meaning in what it thinks. So Maxime says, and this goes into the different size of whales. He said, if you're playing like all limited lineups and you're like got like 20 lineups out there, you're a limited whale. And so you can have different size whales. So Sorare Josh said, who was the last big whale to join the site? Seems like it's been a while since one has joined. That is definitely the topic of our conversation and why whales are not joining the platform per se. Oh, my dog just laid under the desk. He has literally never done this once in his life. So that's an interesting one. So that's my definition of what a whale is. I think if you're above, like, if you're in the top 0.5% of people on the platform, you're a whale to me. Just different sizing of whale. So I think 20 plus ETH probably makes you a whale. Obviously, if you're in the 100 to 200, you're a big enough whale that you're definitely throwing out a lot of different lineups.
Sorry, you said the top 1%?
I think top half a percent. Yeah, top 0.5% or top 1%.
Yeah, so top 0.5% is 29.5 ETH and up.
Yeah. So I think in the 20 to no, it's actually 18.8, Laird. You're looking at the wrong numbers. You're looking at 2022, not 2023.
Oh, you're right. My fault.
Which it's changed because there's a
lot. It's actually
more
lower. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but that makes sense because it's a lot lower because there's more people on the platform, so like it pushes the numbers down. And Alex says, how many whales are bad at the game? There are quite a few people that are bad at the game. I mean, AJ, are you still here? AJ, terrible. We've talked about it. I make fun of AJ all the time. AJ is pretty funny because the old school AJ, when he was like with Blackpool and everyone hated him, I would get like AJ would play like 8 inactive people a week and he would just like run them. And I would get like 15 messages from, I don't check stuff like that. Like I don't look. Same thing with me. Like I don't look in general Discord or like Twitter or something. If someone's like talking about me, I don't look. But like I will get messages and be like, yo, go look at this. And then I go look at it and then I see it. But like AJ would used to run like Messi, and Messi would be like in Argentina on a vacation, like with pictures on Twitter, and AJ would run them. And I would get like 8 messages from different people being like, LOL, did you see AJ run this? Blah, 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 blah. But I'm only making fun of AJ. AJ is not that bad. I'm just giving AJ shit because I know he won't take offense to it, and he's in here, so like he won't care. AJ says the rebirth. But there are people that are bad, but I'm not going to say them because I'm not out here to discuss it. Laird knows who I think are bad whales, and I know who Laird thinks are bad whales, whether they are now whales or were whales. But there a lot of
it would be funny if you were like, I think this guy is actually the worst whale, and then like 3 weeks later you're like, oh wait, he's not a whale anymore. Like that's how
you know exactly who I think the worst player is on the platform.
I do.
And I'm not going to mention it, but you know who it is.
Sure. The definition you gave, I feel like isn't like, I don't think most people would think a 20 ETH gallery would be a whale, even if it includes the top 0.5% of lineup of managers.
No, that's not fair though, Laird. You're saying that you're saying that people wouldn't say that, but the people that you talk to are not people that have under 1 ETH. Like, how many people that are watching this show right now are below 1 ETH gallery? The number's probably 0 or close to, or like it's like under 3.
No, I think it's higher than that.
You think there's that? If you guys have, if anyone here has a gallery that's under an ETH, just let us know, because I'm just curious. I don't think that many people with under an ETH gallery are watching this show. I think like maybe if you go to like a Nellis show and you go to the So Far So Rare podcast show that I did last week, there might be people that would have under an ETH gallery. I don't think there's that many people in here that would have. So Rui just said that he has one. So there are a few. But like I'm saying, like the people that I know you talk to on a daily basis, like they don't typically have, like they have like a lower gallery valuation in terms of maybe it's 5 to 10 ETH, but it's not like Marco says his is 0.3. Baptiste is 1.5. So all right, you were right. So Laird is correct here, guys.
Thank you for watching, everyone.
We don't, that's the end of the show. We don't get to say that often, so we gotta call it here. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad to see we have a wide range of people. We literally have AJ who has a massive gallery, and then we have a lot of people that are watching that have a lower gallery. So I'm glad to see that we have people that are interested in this show that are at all ranges of the gallery valuations.
Yeah, and frankly, at least our goal is that what we talk about and the strategies we talk about should be applicable to all levels. So like
which is great.
Having a gallery. Yeah. So I'm glad it's working. So how about that?
Yeah, I agree.
The number of galleries around 20 ETH and above, and I think like the data I have is a little, it's like a month old, which means it may as well be 5 years old. But like it's about 1,000 people with galleries around 20 ETH and above.
Yeah, which I mean, 1,000 people on a platform with like 100,000 active people is not much.
Right. It is kind of interesting that like the whale definition, like what people think is a whale, is totally dependent on what their gallery is.
Correct.
Like it's not like we're all like, oh no, it's 100, and it's like no, it's just like bigger than mine.
But we have a lot of people in here. Like we asked the question, right? And I asked the question. We had 20 different answers. 20 people gave 20 different answers, and the numbers are all over the place. So it's something that you can definitely see where there's just a lot of people that have different ideas of what it is, and I think that's good. Like I think that's a good thing. But I think we should move into the topic of the show, Laird, and why.
Hold on, before you do, just because there's one that I want to talk about, because it felt like there were a number of people saying like how competitive their lineups are and all this stuff. Is Pavel a whale?
Yeah,
because there's like mostly non-competitive lineups in the 58 that he puts out every week.
He's still competitive.
Obviously, he's a whale.
I'm curious. I'm going to his gallery right now. I'm just curious to like see what he's won. Yeah, like he still wins a lot of stuff. Like I mean, we're in game week. Like he wins like 5 to 10 cards a week. A game.
Oh, okay.
Well, so here's the thing, Laird, is you know where he's going to smack? Midweeks, because he just has every card. Yeah. Like last midweek, I don't think I had a lineup. I don't think I had a lineup last midweek. It was either last midweek or 2 midweeks ago.
It was
last midweek.
I won one.
Last midweek, Pavel won 11 cards. The game week before, Pavel won 6 cards. Like we're talking like a lot of super rares too. Like yeah, they're not great cards. Like he's not winning a lot of cards, but like I mean, if I look back a couple weeks ago, he won Legends Challenge Pro, won a Bruno Fernandez rare card. He won a Hugo Bueno unique, who's like a 19-year-old defender for.
No, I didn't really like. Obviously, he's a whale. Yeah, but like he's just a whale in a very different respect than we have other players who are like more SO5 dominant than market dominant. So
yeah, I mean, I think one of the favorite definitions that we got here from someone. Now I think that this is like a high-end whale, and AJ just touched on it too. A whale is someone who's like directly affecting the market and just goes and buys cards up. And those are like Roxy, like Pavel is hugely impactful in like what's going on with the marketplace. Like you can usually tell what type of condition the marketplace is in based on like what number Pavel's out in terms of valuation on cards and stuff. And then Roxy is literally like, I think he bought, how many Kimmicks do you think he bought like in the last like 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think I saw the other day that he had 25 rares.
I think he's bought like 10 Kimmicks in the last like week, which is great.
Yeah.
That means my Kimmicks just becoming less or more valuable because, yeah, literally in the last 17 days, Roxy has bought 15 rare Kimmicks and has swept the floor like 4 times, which is good. Like, I mean, I'm glad to see that stuff. But that goes into like why whales are important when you have people that are doing stuff like that.
But there are not that many that do that.
No.
AJ's not doing that.
AJ is out here. He can't even win a Marcus Rashford unique. I don't know. AJ must be like his whale status is like on pause here. I don't know if he has it anymore.
LeBron took all his money.
Yeah, LeBron took all his money.
Some of it.
So
I don't know. I'm just like it's all different than that. Like obviously some are just buying cards so that they can keep, like Bambi doesn't like scoop up things like Roxy does, but
no, yeah, exactly. So, all right, Laird, I want to move on to the topic of the discussion today, and that is why whales are important. And I think that we need to go over this because there's obviously a lot of whale hate. There's less of it, I feel, now than there used to be, right? Like, I don't feel like people have been as I don't am I wrong here?
You think there's more whale hate?
No, I think there's less whale hate.
Oh, yeah.
Like I've been seeing like what I view as like whale hate in a long time. Not like what we saw like 6 months to a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even remember. Like, I don't think people care as much.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I think there's just a lot more stuff that benefits people that are not whales. Like there was definitely a huge shift where things just like aren't super impactful. So Alex brings it up. He's like, he thinks there's bigger issues elsewhere on the platform right now over whales. And that's probably fair.
So I actually just think because there's so much more on the platform now, like we have all the cat modes and you can put in so many more lineups. We've got the club shop and like all of this stuff going on. We've got who knows what's going on with the K League and the J League. And we just have other things to think about. And I felt like all the time where like the negativity around whales happened, there just like wasn't much going on. And then people just like look for things to like talk about. And then they were like, how about today whales suck? And everyone's like, yeah, let's get them. And then, but we have more important stuff to deal with now. So like we all just, as I say to my kids, worry about yourself. And I think that's what people are doing now.
I don't know if people are worrying about them. You can't worry about yourself fully without like seeing what else is going on too. As well.
Sure,
like,
but I just think that there's less time to just like wonder what the other whales are doing.
Nanso just smashed it. He said you can't hate whales; they're an endangered species right now. It's so true. We've seen whales, or at least what we would consider whales, sell up and not be as invested on the platform anymore, which is not a good thing. And we can go into the discussions on why that's not a good thing. So whales are going to set the market price. If there are no whales on the platform and there's not people that are willing to spend significant amounts of money, everything trickles downwards. And if people aren't willing to spend uniques, then uniques are going to be bought cheap. And then all of a sudden super rares are going to be bought cheaper. And then rares are going to be bought cheaper. And then limiteds are going to be bought for pennies. And that's what we've seen. So people are going to hate this comment, but it's true. Whales care about high-end stuff. Like this is just like a real world situation, right? If there is a whale that is out there who's investing $2 million in the game, he is not interested in winning a $30 limited card on the weekend. That's just not something he cares about. What?
Limited cards, so there's nothing worth $30 anymore.
Like it goes into the whole thing. So if there are no whales that are interested in the platform because their prizes are not good enough, whether that be cards, ETH, whatever, if their prizes aren't good enough, all of a sudden the whale's gone. So now all of a sudden you have less interest in buying these other cards. Then all of a sudden there's less interest in buying lower level cards, and it just all trickles downward. So what people don't understand, this is what I think the issue is from people, and I've seen the numbers. I don't know them off the top of my head. You probably have a better guess, but like the top 0.03% of the platform are generating like 80% of what the platform makes, because that is how much the cards are. Do you know if that sounds accurate based on what I know you've done this research before. I just don't remember what it is exactly off the top of my head, but I think those are like equivalents to what you've shown me.
Yeah, I think we all just kind of underestimate how important uniques are.
Yeah.
In terms of Sorare making money. And so when we have some that are just in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, like that's a lot of limited cards that you'd have to sell to make up for it, or not make up for it, but to like match it. And so, yeah, I mean, the business doesn't work without those sales.
Correct.
Like,
and
fundamentally, it does not.
Correct. So what people don't understand is that if the whales are no longer interested and are not buying those cards anymore, the platform is not making the money that it has. Therefore, the platform is going way down, and that therefore there's less and less interest in buying cards on the platform. Or if there is interest, it's going to be at a way lower price point. Sorare is not sustainable if they're making 10 ETH a month or 10 ETH a day in auction sales. They're just not. So if you get to a point where the platform has no whales because no one's interested in playing because the prize pools are so cheap, that you have no one interested because the platform can't sustain without them. So as much as in the past people, and we've like you and I have always known this, like we know that the whales are very important. Nanzo says that he's out there and he sweats his amateur lineups up. I don't even make my amateur lineup. So Nanzo is definitely a more heavy grinder than me. So Michael brings up thoughts on Sorare creating an opportunity for smaller fish to create teams to fill the whale size gap. It doesn't work that way. The idea on the platform should always be about expanding. And the way that it's set up from a scarcity standpoint, you can always expand. You can always go from a 1 of 1,000 scarcity to 1 of 10,000 scarcity. You can always make an entry point. So like if your design and like desired entry point is so that someone can come in and spend $50 and make it a good team and win cards worth $2 or $3 a week, you can always do that by expanding yourself to new scarcity levels. No matter if you have 100,000 people on the platform, 2 million people on the platform, 30 million people on the platform, you can expand to make the entry point whatever you want. What you cannot do is generate these people that are coming in spending 500 to 1,000 ETH that are spending constant amounts of money to continuously revamp and upgrade their teams and continuously buying those high-end market priced cards. So the idea from Sorare is they obviously wanted an entry point that was attainable for the average Joe out there to come in and have a $100 lineup that you can play each week and enjoy and all that stuff. But if you do that and you don't cater to your high-end people, it's an issue. So my favorite discussion point is the threshold currently. So, and I think this explains where the issue is with the platform currently. And this is where I think it could be changed to incentivize things to differentiate it. So current threshold breakdown is $5 for limited. Okay, cool. That makes sense. $50 for rare. Okay, cool. That makes sense. It's a 10x jump. There's 10x less scarcity. Makes sense. $100 for super rare. It's only a 2x jump. There's 10x less scarcity. Then you go to uniques and it's 250. So you go a 2.5 x jump. And the issue is that like by doing that, you're saying, okay, super rares. You're not saying it exactly like this, but you're saying it like this. You're saying super rares should cost like 2x what a rare costs. And you're saying a unique should be like 2.5x what a super rare costs. So by doing that, you're just naturally deflating the high end, and you're making it so that the high end players are not as interested in what they're getting out of the platform. Now, you don't have to give it in thresholds. I prefer the way that we've seen it now, where you're giving it to top 100 in All-Star Rare, you're giving it to top 30 in Rare Pro, you're giving it to top, I don't even know the number in Limited, but you're giving it
300.
You're giving it that, you're giving it away to finishing positions, but like you're going down the list, you're going deeper down the list where like legit you can get a good amount of ETH in for whatever level you're playing based on that. Like I think in like All-Star Rare Pro, if you get like top 20 or top 15, you're getting like a few $100 worth of ETH. That's great. So like you could easily expand that to other regions and other areas. But the issue is, so like, all right, so super rares are literally 2x what a rare is. You're de-incentivizing people to go to that level, and you're telling them stay to rares, never progress. And that is an issue. So, so it's a situation where the ETH, and I'm not saying like this is what the thresholds need, but I'm just going to give the example of what the thresholds could be. So the rare threshold is $50 and it's now 100 for super rare. If you made that threshold $500, all of a sudden, all of those, yes, you're giving away more ETH each week. Yes, that is 100% accurate. You're giving away more each week, but you're going to cause those super rares to be auctioned for more money because people are like, oh, wow, like I can get a $500 threshold if I can get up there. So your super rare that just cost $500 now costs like $2,000 because people are that much more interested in hitting it. Same thing with uniques. Like let's say the average unique price is 1 ETH and you're giving $250 ETH threshold. And it's just like, whatever, I don't really care. It's not getting that much. I can't do it. If you turn that threshold into $5,000, well, holy shit. People are out there. They're like, I'm going to spend 3 to 5 ETH on this 1 ETH card that was selling for 1 ETH because if I can hit a couple thresholds, that's huge. So I just think the whole idea is that like there's ways to incentivize at a higher level. Now, I'm not saying it needs to be 500 and 5,000, but like if you turned into, let's say, 300 and 1,500 or something, like so, or like let's say like like it's 300 or 250 and 1,500. All of a sudden, it's a 5x from super rare to super rare, and then 5x from super rare to unique, or 1,250 instead of 1,500. Sorry, 1,250. All of a sudden, like there's a lot more incentivization in people to go and buy uniques or go and buy super rares because they're like, man, if I win a threshold in unique, it's worth like a full ETH. So like if I'm spending 1 ETH in uniques, well, now if I spend 2 ETH and then I win a few thresholds, I'm going to pay a good chunk of that off. So like, yes, they will give out more, but they will make more in sales of these cards as well.
Yeah, I don't think that's like, I think that's obvious that like if the threshold, they make it easier to win at higher levels, you're going to want to compete on those higher levels. Like, I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah.
But I think the problem with uniques, like what happens if they raise the unique threshold, they double it, right?
Yeah.
So that's enough to get some people who are like, oh, I was thinking of competing in unique, at least for threshold, but now I'm definitely going to, because it's like,
yeah,
it's more. How many users do you think that actually ends up being?
50 to 100.
You think it's that many?
Yeah, if it was good, yeah.
There were 110 in unique 240 this game week, which is like when we have peak cards, right? So like,
yeah.
So you think that number doubles if they double the threshold?
Maybe it could. I don't know. It's hard. You don't really know this stuff. So Surface brings up a point that I think is very poor, but we'll talk about it. So he said in March so far, unique sales were about 7% of income so far. So he's like, I see the point of view why maybe it doesn't matter to cater to unique holders. I mean, this is why that makes no sense. You know why the unique prices are worth nothing this month? Because they're not auctioning anything worth a shit because the market's in the shitter. So they're literally saving any good unique. Like if you popped out a Neymar unique right now, or I don't know, like a good unique, like it's going to go for 20, 30x. All of a sudden, your
Neymar's a tough example.
Yeah, literally, I look at the uniques. Like the uniques, like I'm going to go look at the uniques for this month. Let me pull this up real quick. But so like that's a completely flawed point that he's trying to make there, unfortunately, because it just like it all depends what they auction off in terms of uniques. And then AJ brings up he's like he'd be fine with $1,000 threshold. I think that's reasonable. I think $1,000 threshold is reasonable. I think $2,500 threshold is reasonable. So like in terms of uniques this month, the most marquee unique has been Nuno Mendes. Nuno Mendes sucks. Somehow went for 11 ETH. Who paid that? AJ, did you pay this? AJ paid it. AJ paid him. Like he sucks. Like I don't know. Like it shouldn't even go for that much. Our friend Bellama was bidding him up as well. But like that's literally the best card that's been given out in unique this month. That card sucks.
Yeah, I do think it's really important though to realize like which uniques sell when. Like that's a huge factor in the auction sales volume. So and it's not even something that you can compare month to month because again, like one month we had Erling Haaland unique go, and then the next month we didn't, and that's 265 ETH. That's different than the 20 ETH or
So
11.
Surface, AJ said he sold him. How much of a loss did you take on that one, AJ? So Surface said he's looked at it a couple times and the numbers never top 17%. So if the sales number for the month is 17% on uniques, the idea though with whales isn't just uniques. He sold it for half a profit. How did he sell it for half an ETH of profit? Who bought that? I'm gonna have to go back and check that card because that's mind blowing to me. But if you sell or if you're selling, it's not just uniques, right? It's high-end super rares and high-end rares. Like those are cards that people are buying. Oh, JR Duke bought it. That I don't understand Nuno Mendes. I never understood Nuno Mendes. Like card's terrible. I remember like when he's like a shit version of Hakimi, like really shit version of Hakimi. But it's all of those cards, right? If a whale's not here, Mbappe goes from 8 ETH to 3 ETH. And that's what happens. Like if there's not whales that are incentivized to buy that type of stuff, those prices just plummet, and that's what happens. So like I understand that you're talking about from a unique perspective, but like when I'm talking about the top 200 people on the platform, they're not just buying uniques, they're buying rares, super rares, uniques, and like their whole output is X amount. Like here's a question since AJ's here and interacted today. AJ, if everything just completely fell off the rails and you were playing for like 10% a week of what you're playing for now, would you even be on the platform? Because that's the thing. Is like that's what I don't think people understand is like
you wouldn't do that, Sean.
Not be here.
You wouldn't do it if it was 50%.
No, AJ would be gone. Like not like he would
let AJ you.
Oh, I would be yeah, probably. I mean, I would probably be not incentivized. There's definitely a lot less interest if I can't win anything worthwhile. Like I don't think AJ would be here if things drop like 75, 80% or whatever. I think AJ would be gone. He would sell.
We're all gone at that point.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like you need people to be coming in at all levels. You can always get the people at the lower level because you can always open up new scarcities to lower the price points. You just have to cater to your high-end guys because those are the people you cannot get back. And those are the people who make things more expensive for everything else. Like if you don't have the whales, if AJ is not on the platform, if AJ is on the platform, that Nuno Mendes card goes for 3 to Bellama or something. Like, so you need to protect the whales. As Nando said, they are endangered species. If you are not protecting the whales, letting them create new whales, we'll just pretend like the whales have sex and bring in new whales. But like literally we've seen it before.
We all know none of you do.
We've seen whales bring in other whale friends onto the platform that then go and spend 100, 200 ETH. Like I brought in someone that has since sold up that spent 100 ETH on the platform, right? Like if I'm not here, he doesn't come onto the platform. You brought me onto the platform. Like if you weren't on the platform, I never would have known about it. I never would have played it. So it's a situation where like they bring in people that that will be spending the funds.
I want to go back to AJ's comment of the whole like that he thinks $1,000 unique threshold is good. I think the problem is, and why there's been some like a little negative whale pushback is because like obviously he's going to think that. If he was like, if somebody was like, "Hey, do you think a $10,000 ETH threshold would be good in limited?" Everyone would be like, "Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea." Yeah.
Exactly.
So like, I
Yeah,
struggle to
100%.
see that, but I do think that that the number of people who actually progress up to play cap 240, whatever's next, is much lower in unique and super rare than people who play there now think. Like everyone was like, if you just doubled it, then so many more people would play. And it's like, it's really not that many people because we know that there's just not that many people with those galleries.
But it
Sure,
doesn't need to be that many people to raise the prices significantly.
to buy, but they're buying like the lower end uniques. Like people aren't, or super rares or whatever. Like
that's fine, but if you have a lot more people in, that raises the price of those cards significantly.
but it's not that many people is what I'm saying.
You don't need that many people because there's not that many of those cards that are going around.
Yeah, I still think it's just a lower number. I mean, I play super rare 240 and I'm so far from unique that doubling it probably still doesn't get me to buy 4 uniques.
I think I don't disagree with that. I'm not saying that you would be there. And AJ says that 1,000 is sustainable. I am pretty positive.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I just think
I'm pretty positive that if the threshold was like $1,000 for uniques, that there are quite a few people that are like on the fringes that could move up. Same thing with like super rare. Super rare like threshold was like 250. I think there are quite a few people that would move up. So actually, Metal Gear brought up something that is valid here. And he said there are no whales in the FPL multi-million-dollar community, and they are hard aiming for them. Agreed. And they're aiming at them for the lower end price points of things because FPL managers are coming in from a free-to-play game. Here's my boy Fling Flong. Fling Flong, I saw you said I'm a national treasure the other day. Thank you for that. So Fling Flong's here. He was definitely saying that the other day. So the thing is that like, yes, they are aiming for the lower end people because if you bring on all the lower end people, you're going to have a lot more numbers. You're going to have a lot more people that maybe will progress upwards. You're going to have a lot more people that are going to move in and out of things. But you still need to protect the high end people. You need to make sure that they are incentivized to play because if they are not incentivized and they are not interested, all of a sudden, all of the price points crash downwards and go away.
Yeah, I don't think that there are no whales in the FPL community.
No, there's definitely there's going to be whales in every community. Like there are people that have money that will spend it on things if something makes sense. Obviously, a lot of the FPL community is not those type of people, but I guarantee you, if we look at the FPL community, there's some people in there that would plunk down a couple $100,000 in a certain situation. So 100%, like there are people that are there in that aspect.
Right. I mean, Roxy could have been in the FPL community for all we know.
Yeah, we have no idea. But so here goes to the other discussion about progression. And this is what I think progression should always be aspired to some extent. Like you should always look at things and be like, I wish I was playing at this level. You're not necessarily going to move up because as we've talked about, like your objective is to play within your means, have fun, make some funds, enjoy yourself, right? So like if I sat there and I told you to progress from here, you might not be comfortable going to uniques like you just said. But I guarantee if I told you like, hey Laird, you could be playing uniques, you'd be like, oh my God, I wish I was playing uniques. That'd be fun. You should want to move to uniques. Not you should be like, why the fuck would I move to super rares and uniques? There's no point because they just suck. So I'm just gonna stay at rares. It should never be like, oh, they suck. I'm not going to move up because they suck. It should be, oh, I can't really afford to move up. I don't really think that's within my budget, so I'm not going to move up. I'm going to stay at this level. That's fine. You're still incentivized to progress. You just aren't comfortable doing it, which is totally acceptable. The issue is when it's like, hey, you shouldn't progress because it sucks to progress and there's no point to it. That's where there's an issue.
I will say that the threshold is the first thing that ever got me to consider buying a unique. And obviously I would need 4 of them, but I also considered it. And yes, if it was 4 times bigger, then I would be like, oh, maybe I really will. Yeah. But then of course, lots of people, well, it's not that many people in my situation, but it's enough that like prices go up. Like I get it. Like that's the easiest way to make prices go up is give away money. But
if they
I
gave
will
away,
say that
if
there
they
was
gave
never a
away,
point for me was of buying. Let me buy a few uniques to like compete in All Star. Like
yeah.
that was never a possibility, and I still don't have any like that's not in any plan. But the threshold does at least make me think about it.
Oh, I mean, you literally have texted me this week asking my thoughts on a unique that you were considering buying.
Yep.
Which means that you're still progressing. But again, and what was the discussion we talked about? And why did you not buy it? I'm assuming you didn't buy it.
I did
But
buy it.
why did you not buy it? What was both of our thoughts on the topic?
Basically, having one unique was to compete in super rare division, and it wasn't actually changing anything.
What was the reason why we said not to buy unique, and like what should you do instead?
I should buy better super rares.
Correct. And why should you buy better super rares?
I didn't actually.
Yeah, but why did I say you should buy other super rares, and why did you agree? For Rare Pro.
Remember.
For Rare Pro.
Oh, yeah.
Because we both, I said, I'm like, super rare division just isn't
like a regress back to Rare Pro.
Yeah, so like the whole idea is like, hey, you literally came to me. This was the discussion. Hey, should I progress into this? And the answer was, no, it doesn't make sense because progressing is bad. Effectively, like obviously it's different than that, but that's how it worked. And so like that to me is an issue. Like the issue should have been if things were working properly, the discussion should have been, hey, should I buy this? Yeah, you should buy it. It would definitely be more helpful for you and progressing would be good. And then you're like, oh, I don't really know if I want to spend this right now because progressing to here is maybe not great. So maybe I'll wait a little bit. But I wish I could go there. That's like how it should be. And that's where the difference is.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
And that's what, like, I think there's possibilities for lots of ways to incentivize things. Like, something that like whales enjoy. Whales enjoy going to do something that they couldn't do otherwise. So like if you have the the PSV thing this week, let's say you're a whale who really likes PSV, and all of a sudden you can win a VIP trip to a PSV game and like go to training and stuff with the team or whatever they were giving away. I forget exactly what they were giving away. That's awesome. Or, like we've talked about, Surface has brought it up. If you give out ETH to people, you know what the whales want? Money, because whales like money. And if you're giving out more rewards to stuff. So again, Metal Gear has been hitting a lot of good comments today. He said after the Premier League launch in the game modes, the whale population is heavily negative. So they're clearly doing something wrong. And I agree with that. Like, I think if you talk to like whales, like we talk to like people like AJ and high end guys, they're not necessarily like hating everything. Like AJ flat out said he's like the moves they made to like adding ETH to like all these all-star competitions and stuff were good. The new tiers are good. Like they're it's all positives, but as a whole, it's just like, are you guys gonna take and like there have been improvements to D2. D2, the super rare division, is better than what it was 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And I Surface brought up a good idea. Sponsorships. Like you get money from sponsors to like come in and pay you to advertise. Have the McDonald's Classic on the weekend where you like give away $50,000 in ETH prizes that McDonald's is paying for. Like do stuff like that. It's a good idea to incentivize people and to make people interested in things. And if you talk to a lot of people, they're overall like not super thrilled with what the overall decisions have been, especially at the higher end. The higher end guys are just like, and I don't disagree with them. Like I look at it and I'm like, there's been improvements. I'm not saying there haven't been improvements. I like where they're going with some things, but there's still a big disconnect and a big issue with like just the higher end players on the community, and there's like a disconnect.
Do you think it's just like Sorare's lack of understanding what they want?
I think it's a lack of understanding of how the game works and how the things work in terms of the platform. It goes back to the whole, like, when they said we're removing thresholds and we're going to pay out the same amount of thresholds every week. And that was clearly, like, I'm not even going to say it was a lie. It could have been a lie, but it was like, it was just sort of a non-understanding of, like, how people, like, I feel like they looked at it, they're like, if everyone ran their best lineup in the 240, we're going to give out the same amount of threshold. That's just not how things are going to go. So, like, I will say that was one of the quickest changes I ever saw. Whether that was their intention, I can't imagine it was, because if it was, it would have came out during the announcement. But, like, within 2 weeks, they were giving out a lot more ETH to All-Star Rare Pro, Super Limited, and all that stuff. They were giving out more prizes or more ETH there.
Yeah, no, I mean, when they announced the new threshold situation, like, they were very clear on that it could be adjusted. So I don't think that, like, giving ETH in All-Star was like a reaction. Like, I think they had that idea already. And it was just like when they were going to, because, like, giving out more threshold doesn't affect as many people. Like, you're basically spreading it out.
I don't know. That was 2 weeks after that announcement. I just do not think they would have done that.
I mean, it would literally be like the fastest decision in an implementation they've ever done.
Yeah, but, like, why would you do that and release it 2 weeks later?
No, I'm saying I think that they did not have a plan to release it 2 weeks later. But, like, they were like, what are ways, if the threshold is not paying out enough, what are ways that we could pay more? Like, before it came out. They're like, oh, we just add it to All-Star. Like, great. And then it got to the point where they were like, oh, we need to pay out more. Let's go implement our plan for step 2. And that was
it's all another thing too with the platform, right? Is, like, you got to not have these dead periods. Like, the World Cup was just dumpster fire for everyone. Like, I don't even think they had bad ideas for it. They just didn't understand that, like, you had literally the entire platform, like, disconnected for 2 months. That's not a good thing. Same thing, like, there's an international break coming up in the next couple of weeks. There's, like, nothing covered. So, like, I can't imagine a 10-day break in the platform where, like, literally nothing happens is going to be a great thing for the platform.
Yeah,
Marco, great idea. If you guys are watching, make sure you guys smash the like button. If you are not subscribed to the video, please do that as well. Laird, I was number 5 to like the video today. I opened it up before the show and gave it a like. We're at 34 now. There's 132 people watching, or 113 people watching. So lots of you guys have to hit that like button.
Yeah, please. And frankly, Sean was convinced that nobody was going to watch this. And so if we could just get everybody to watch it.
Yes.
Sometimes I like to have at least something over Sean. That's
yes. Well, I mean, you already got me to say you were right about something on the show, and that, I mean, it happens like once every 3 months, I feel.
I was going to let that one slide, and this is hopefully it's going to be back-to-back weeks, but I will throw this one back at you. But anyway, I was thinking, like, for the way that I play, because there were people who were like, instead of threshold, they just pay out to more places. And that actually makes it harder for someone like me, at least in, like, the super rare division. And so, completely selfishly, don't do that.
Surface said
do it on top of the threshold.
Surface said that I was wrong. I didn't say the show wouldn't be interesting and the topic wasn't good. I said that people would not overall be interested in watching it.
Yeah, he said people wouldn't watch it.
Yeah,
would not watch.
I mean,
look at all these people watching, Sean.
We'll see where the numbers are in the long term, but I mean, but we'll see. But yeah, I think there's just a disconnect with the Sorare team and the Sorare community on things, and hopefully in the future that can be corrected and sort of, like, rectified. And like, you don't want to listen to the whole community. There's lots of dumb comments that are out there. Like, we talk about, you and I will message about, like, oh my god, this is the dumbest thing I've seen today, blah blah blah, and we'll be like, this is so stupid.
Excuse me, and then it gets topped like 10 minutes later.
And then it gets topped by someone else saying something absolutely moronic, and it's just like, oh my god. But, like, there are some good ideas in the community as well. Like, there's lots of good ideas that are out there that are interesting. Luis says that the MLS continues through the international break. I actually think you're right, but I think they only play in the weekends. So, like, the midweeks, I think you'll have nothing during those midweeks.
Some guys leave anyway, don't they?
I mean, Carlos Gil doesn't leave, Laird. He's a legend. can't help that Spain don't call him up.
Yeah, he's so good that he can't even play for Spain.
I mean, maybe he declines, Laird. Maybe Spain wanted him to be like the leader of the team for like the last decade, and he just always them. I mean,
they definitely called him, and they were like, "Do you want to play?" And he's like, "Nah, I'm good, thank you." And they're like, "All right, Pedri."
Yep, that's probably how it goes. I mean, why would you go to Pedri if you could have Carlos Gil? I don't know.
Why would you?
Good question on that, but yeah, I just think there's an overall disconnect that I think would be. I just would like to see more community. I would like to see more community feedback before stuff happens. And I just don't feel like they are checking with the community before they do stuff. Like it's the weirdest thing ever, because it's like I don't know any company or anything in any industry that like just doesn't get feedback from their customers before they do something, and then like after. Like it's the same thing. Like, all right, movie industry, give an example in the movie industry, right? They film the show and do releases to like sets. I actually went to one. They had one at Penn State before. You'll get a kick out of this. It was actually really fun. So at Penn State, when I went there when I was in school, they had a early screening of Hot Tub Time Machine, and they had people go to the Hot Tub Time Machine. Then they spent 2 hours afterwards answering questions and like asking people what they thought about different things. Same thing with like pilot season. So I've done this before too. I went to Universal Studios in Orlando like 5 years ago with my wife. My wife hated it. And they showed a pilot of a TV show that they filmed and wanted to get feedback on the different characters. Like if you like these characters, didn't like these characters, liked where it was going, and different things like that. And they literally, part of it, they paid you like $50. And so we don't even have to pay people because people would happily do stuff for free. They paid you like $50, and it took like 2 hours. You watched the show, and then you spent 45 minutes filling out the questionnaire on the show that you watched. I loved it. I was like, this is awesome. The show that we watched was called Resident Alien, and I believe now it's on the Sci-Fi Channel. It's not something I'm interested in at all. Like, and they got feedback from people that they weren't, that like,
you were like, "This show is awesome," and they're like, "Hey, we made the show," and you're like, "I'm good."
So like they were, I loved it. I thought it was great. I'm like, could you imagine like getting to watch like Game of Thrones pilot like 2 years before it came out and be like, oh my God, I cannot wait for this show to come out and actually get feedback. But like, there should be focus groups. So Rob mentioned, he's like, focus groups don't seem to happen these days. And like out there in like the real world and stuff, that might be true. And I'm not saying Sorare doesn't take feedback after stuff happens and understand what it is. But like, you have a lot of people that would like, I mean, they've done these. A great example is these Twitter spaces they have. Like they get a couple hundred people on these Twitter spaces. Like you could easily be like, I know, again, we're using AJ as an example a lot today. AJ is very responsive. He has no problem giving opinions. And usually his opinions are good. Sometimes he has some dumb shit, but like that's everyone. Everyone's going to have good ideas. Everyone's going to have bad ideas. Some people more good ideas than bad, and vice versa. But like AJ is very approachable by the Sorare team. The Sorare team could easily be like, oh, hey, what do you think about this? And vice versa. Like there are like Baptiste. Baptiste is in here. You said earlier you had a 1.5 ETH gallery. Baptiste, if Sorare reached out to you and was like, hey, Baptiste, do you mind having a Discord call with us for like 30 minutes and going over this new idea that we have coming up? Would you do it? I'm sure Baptiste would be like, sure, I'd love to. Because Baptiste wants to have fun with the platform and enjoy everything about it. And so if he can give his opinion, and you're not going to listen to everything, right? I've had for DraftKings, I've had Baptiste said every day. I've had DraftKings calls in the past where like they would reach out to me and be like, hey, would you mind having a call about this upcoming sport with what we're planning to do, and just give feedback on it for like 30 minutes. And I would have a call with like 4 members on the team, and just they would ask me questions based on stuff. And you can get guys at all ends of the gallery value. Like we looked here, like I didn't think there was that many people that had a 1 ETH gallery or less. We probably had 10 or 15 people say that they have a 1 ETH gallery or less that were watching the show. We could literally host it here, right? Like you and I could have a feedback session on a week and be like, hey, Sorare, give us a topic that you want to ask the questions on. Laird and I will literally ask and get the input from our chat. Like, we know who in our chat is has good ideas and who in our chat has bad ideas. Like, we've seen this stuff. Like, we know that if certain things are coming up, we also know like what everyone's like you said earlier. If you ask the question like, hey guys, let's give $10,000 in ETH to limited threshold every week, 99% of the population is gonna be like, yeah, let's go. And we know that's not realistic, but like we can talk to like there's people that will view things from a non-selfish manner, and then there's people who will view things from a selfish manner, just how it is. But I just think there's different ways to get feedback on things as well. Scosmo, actually, so Scosmo just asked, he's like, do I have good ideas or bad ideas? Scosmo, I have told him I think he's like bipolar, because sometimes he says the dumbest shit I have ever heard in my life. And then other times Scosmo comes out with this like incredibly long rant on something. And I'm like, oh my God, everything he said is
Brilliant. Yeah.
and I'm just like, I don't know if that like has something to do with how much alcohol Scosmo consumes or like what day of the week it is. I don't know. But Scosmo is like all over the place about what is going on with Scosmo. But yeah, like I just think there are efficient ways to get feedback. And you like if you go into the general Discord in Sorare,
Don't do
it
that.
takes you 2 seconds to be like, oh my God, this person's a dumb as shit. And you're just like, and then you also go to Discord and you're like, all right, this guy makes some valid points about some things and makes some sense. Or you could be like, this guy makes sense sometimes and doesn't make sense other times. But like you still want to get input from him and know like what his viewpoint and things are.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and it's probably, I mean, it's really none of our business anyway, but I do think that a lot of the increased threshold talk is one of those that you're like, yeah, it just makes sense. If you give out more ETH, people are going to be more willing to buy those cards. But there's no like further analysis of how many people it is. It's one of those that you're the same instance where we saw those things like everyone's selling up and getting out. And you're like, well, how many people do you know? And they're like, at least 4. And you're like, oh, so you know 4 people who left. And now everybody's leaving. And it just doesn't, I think people get stuck in their vacuum and they don't get there. You muted yourself. You're muted.
My bad. I'm sorry. So here's a good example of like, I'm going to pat myself on the back here. So for all those people that think I talk about myself, here you go. Here's going to be a talking about myself. So me being the good Sorare user that I am and not wanting things to be broken and not fixed, I was winning Legends Rare Pro or Legends Challenge Pro. The reason I was winning it was because it was broken and they didn't have the proper scarcity bonuses. And I'm like, this is just so stupid. And I'm like, this is not correct and it needs to be fixed. I knew that if it got fixed, there was a pretty realistic shot that I would not win because there's going to be other lineups. So like literally I was like, hey, I think we should fix this I messaged DJ who's what's the name of like the ambassadors or whatever. I don't know what it is, but DJ Koft, he's been in here before. I'm like, hey, you guys should really go change this. Look at it. It cost me. I literally went from first to second because I pointed out an error with something in the platform that was broken. So like I knew it would hurt me. I knew it couldn't help me. I can't go up from first, so no benefit for me, right? But I messaged him yesterday. I'm like, hey, just so you're aware, this is broken. You should let them know. And I also emailed them to let them know. And a watch first place is probably going to get Mbappe now as I get like a 0.02 ETH card. But again, like there's just situation where some people will be willing to have things viewed from like a non-selfish point of view, and you can get good feedback from people like that. Like there's definitely people out there where I've read where they have great feedback and their feedback makes a lot of sense and things are logical that they've come up with, and talking to those people is helpful because like the biggest thing when we've talked about before, the biggest issue with the Sorare team, this isn't necessarily their fault, but everyone except for I believe 2 people on their entire team don't play the game and have never played the game. It's very difficult to know how things work properly if you do not play the game or know how it works. So having some feedback from people that are very understanding of the game and know very well how it works, like that's invaluable information to you if you don't really know how it works and don't really know how it functions. And I've had conversations with Sorare too. Like, I don't want to say I haven't had conversations with Sorare about stuff, but I just think as a whole, they don't enact well on feedback loops from users on things.
Maybe they just get equal or more feedback on the other side, though.
Yeah, but at that point, you need to understand what feedback is reasonable and what feedback isn't reasonable.
Yeah.
So Baptiste said he didn't think only 2 people at Sorare have ever played the game. I think it's 2. As far as I know, they've never.
No, it's definitely.
I know what 2 I'm thinking of. I think Tacoma, I remember the name. He got hired for something, and then Zura.
Yeah.
I don't know of anyone else that is on their team that had played Sorare. Laird. So here's a question: how many people at SorareData have played or play Sorare?
Everyone.
Interesting. Why is that?
Because we don't work for Sorare.
Yeah, but why does everyone?
Because we build tools to play Sorare. So you have to play to know what you're building.
Exactly. So I just think that having a hole in that situation that could be fixed to some extent would be good.
I don't think Sorare employees playing is a fix.
No, I don't think Sorare employees playing is a fix. I think getting feedback from people that play is a fix.
Yeah, 2 only play free to play.
But all the Sorare employees could be playing free to play to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they could be playing a free to play in the behind the scenes. I mean, you pretty much play free to play because you don't win anything.
Not pretty much. I do.
Actually, no.
Confirmed.
Sorry. You do pay to play and not win.
Yeah, I pay to lose.
Yeah, you pay to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I'm not losing now that Cecinia's all-around scores have hit.
Oh, what happened with Cecinia all-around scores? What did he end up with?
75.
I guess like 75.
Yeah.
Well, I had a good week out of
300 All-Star Limited finish on. Am I a whale now?
I had an okay week out of nowhere. It was literally miserable because you know me. I've talked about it with Gald Guy before. I care about. I'm here to make money / win stuff. Like, obviously that's why I'm here. But I just want to watch games, and I can't watch a game if my lineup's totally dead. So, like, I literally have like a few teams that I want to watch every weekend, and that is like Gank, Ajax, and Carlos Gil. I'm not even going to say the New England Revolution. I'm just going to say Carlos Gil. And like, so Saturday, my lineup for Carlos Gil was killed by Douglas Santos when everyone else just went nuts, and I was just so sad because I just want to watch Carlos Gil play, and like I couldn't because like I'm really can't win anything anymore without this no matter what he did. So I was just like depressed. And then Gank, I had nothing. And like going into Sunday, I literally had like the Ajax game. I had a sweat in the Ajax game, and then I had a sweat in. I don't even know what team this guy plays for. Let me see what team this guy plays for. Aaron S. Kendall from Cartagena, FC Cartagena in Liga Spartak. I sure as hell am not watching a second division Spanish game with my goaltender. I'm not watching that. So like I had nothing to watch yesterday. I was sitting there and like my wife's like, let's go do. So here's a funny story for you guys. Luckily my wife doesn't listen to the show. She would not be happy if she heard this. So we had to go spend $1,000 yesterday, Laird. What do you think it was on?
$1,000.
I don't know if I told you, so it might be surprising.
I don't think you told me. A new rug?
Nope, it was worse than that. It was on the car mirror because my wife took it off the car when she was backing out of the garage.
That was $1,000?
Like $900 because she broke it in the worst place possible. So I had to go spend like 2 hours last night driving the car to like drop it off to get replaced, and I'll have to go do it again today. But yeah, literally I woke up last week, I think it was like Monday, to a massive thud, which was my wife ramming the car mirror into the garage door. Yeah. So I'm definitely not a whale because I care about that. Whale, I would be like, all right, hey, yeah. So that was unfortunate. So yeah, literally, this is how my weekend usually goes. Which you guys in chat will probably be like, oh man, this is like the dream. And so like my weekend goes with me looking at what time teams play and setting my day up to watch every team that I have a realistic sweat with. And so like literally on Saturday, I had like 12 games on my list of like agenda from like the beginning of the day. And like they will get removed as the day goes on because like the lineup will be terrible and I'll be like, I can't win a card, so who cares? So like my day Saturday started with like 15 games, and by like noon it was down to like 0. And I had one game on Sunday. So like I literally would a lot of the time we'll have a lot of games to watch. And I went from like a bunch of games to like 0. And I was so depressed all weekend. I was just like, I just want to watch games. But like unfortunately, one of the games I had to watch was PSG, and I watched Donnarumma just like let in a goal that I don't even know how he let it in. He's
That he lets in. Those are Donnarumma goals.
You see the goal he let in?
Yeah, it's what he does. I don't know why everybody gets all upset.
Horrendous.
Yeah. Anyway, we've gone long. We've fallen off the. We're now listening to a whale complain about only winning or not winning that much, and then
no, I said my week was good. I did not complain about. I said my week was good. I complained about like it was just a weird.
You're complaining about not being able to watch Carlos Hill because you
I did watch.
Thankfully, made up for it with all your other lineups.
I did watch Carlos Hill. I did watch him. I can't not watch him. He's like, when is Carlos Hill going to be a guest on the show? Is the question. Dan from Sorare, if you're watching, we want to have a show with Carlos Hill.
No, we don't want to have a show with him. We're going to go meet him.
Yeah, we want to go hang out with Carlos Hill. We want to be like in his entourage.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't have an entourage, we want to become the entourage.
We'll be the entourage. Yeah.
Us and Nacho. We'll all just be like.
Thank you to everybody for joining us live. Again, a lot of more people watching than have clicked the like button, so please do that. And if you could just tell all of your friends how great this show was so that they go watch it, so that I can prove to Sean that this is actually a topic that people wanted to listen or watch, please do that. I'll be back later this week for a bunch of stuff. NBA strategy show, Sorare Andrews, rabbit hunting. Rabbit hunting is going to be absolutely so painful this week. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us, and good luck on this terrible midweek.